Hello, everyone, and welcome to another of these series of incredible announcements of all the phenomenal human beings in my world who are coming together in February of 2023 here in Caribbean, Costa Rica, for the Hedonism retreat that I'm now starting to explain as a wellness and arts and pleasure retreat for those who are curious about some of the little, what are we doing? Art, wellness, pleasure, adventure, magic, spirituality. In case it was confusing, I want you to have that information. It just means the pursuit of pleasure. And I feel like in the world that we are in right now, we need to remember what it feels like to be fully human and in our bodies and enjoying what it is to be in our flesh and in our souls. And I am here to announce that I have support from one of the most incredible people that I've ever known. I cannot wait to introduce you to Audra. Audra and I have never hugged in person, and it's going to be the most epic hug that ever happens. Audra is a spiritual mentor, medicine woman, and sacred songstress with deep embodied wisdom, nurturing maternal energy, that's so true, and a sacred connection to the earth and to spirit. Audra guides others back home to themselves and their truth. Audra holds powerful space for transformation, braiding together a background in psychology, health, trauma-informed care, tantra, spiritual and shamanic studies, and her extensive experience in life and in spiritual realms. Her current work includes one-on-one healing, mentorships, group programs, as well as facilitating retreats, sacred song circles, and plant medicine ceremonies. Audra's role for our container is to energetically hold the container for the duration of the retreat and weaving her magic and her music in and throughout the experience. Audra, thank you for being willing to do this live video today. I'm not going to be able to see if anyone's commenting excitement. I know that they are. I will peek. But I would love for you to tell us a little bit about what you're going to be offering, what you're excited to share, and also what you'll be doing in one-on-one offerings as well. So the stage is yours. Please tell us about you.
Thank you. I am so excited. First of all, I woke up this morning knowing we were going to do this live and I felt inspired. I made a post on Instagram realizing that the dream that I had just a few years ago of like spending a month on the beach and leading people back home to themselves and doing this work is like has come true. And that very soon I'll be there with you. Um, so in my work and the role that I'll be holding in the container, as you know, Jesse, but a few people that might not know here, like the depth of what's been offered in Wild Essence and the connection I've had with you and with the other people that you work with, it's just been like this deep, deep um, feeling of coming home. And I'm excited to be one that gets to help hold that for others. So as we know, when we create a space like a transformational retreat, stuff can come up, even though it's about art and pleasure and dance and movement and all of these things, stuff rises up because when we give ourselves permission to feel that, sometimes there's a part of us that hasn't been heard that all of a sudden is being expressed or wanting to be seen. So part of my role for the entire month, whether you come for 1 week or beyond, is that I get to hold the energetic container, which means that I'll be doing certain things energetically and in spirit even before people arrive. But when I'm there, I'm someone that people can come to if something comes up, if they're feeling like they need just a voice of somebody to give them a reflection or a shoulder to cry on. I'm there, and I'm there to support you, Jesse. So I'm there knowing that you're holding all of this as you're preparing this retreat, having like arranging travel, doing all of the work of making the schedule so incredible. I'm also there to support you and all the other facilitators to make sure that you're well held so you can do the work that you do.
Everyone who gets to experience this and know that the integrity that this person carries is unmatched, like it's unmatched. You carry such profound integrity in so much of the work that you've done throughout your life. You've dedicated yourself to people feeling well and safe and held in so many ways. And I feel like you represent what that can feel like for people when they're just sitting in your presence or experiencing your energy. And so for you to bring it in such a huge capacity and to show up so fully for the entire month, I know that the opening and closing of small containers each week and the coming and the going of participants, to know that we will have built this very solid circle that is held throughout the entire time. It means a lot, I think, for people going, well, what if I'm only coming for a week? And it's like, don't worry, we're going to open and close and open and close, but the whole thing is held really solidly throughout, with everything that you're going to be bringing. And you're going to be teaching a little bit and sharing some of your magic in sessions, which, for those of you who've seen the schedule, more Audra is coming onto that schedule. We are going to be weaving in more Audra, but would you like to tell them a little bit about some of what they can experience if they come to your classes throughout the course of the month?
Well, as you and I were sharing, and for one of the reasons I was so excited to come down is so you and I can sing together, because we've been wanting to do that for ages. And as you've been exploring your voice and your expression, I know that because there's so much art and pleasure and magic being woven through the whole retreat, music is part of that. So I'm excited to hold some opportunities for us to connect in with our voice, to make sound, to release any judgment around that. I also do a lot of like music with channeled song. I'll have, because I connect in with energies, and I'll actually move through, and I'll sometimes bring a song that is the energy of what's being felt in the room, or a song that's a message to be received. And I can show you how to do that as well, because we all have this capacity. It's about tuning into the parts of ourselves that are wanting to be heard. And then also tuning into the more, as we talk about, the energy that's wanting to be felt. And knowing that, especially connecting in with the divine feminine and all these beautiful ways, we are being conduits for the voice coming from the earth. So yeah, I'm excited about that. There's going to be other magic we're weaving in as you and I kind of talk about what'll be coming next. So that'll be coming up on the schedule. But every single session I do, whether it's one session, whether it's a retreat weekend or a retreat for an entire month, as you talked about, this opening and closing. It's like, how do we create this container for transformation? We set the container, we actually let people experience what they need to experience, and then they're able to be released. So at each session does that, but each week does that. So we're going to be starting the week in a really powerful way. So even if you come in the middle of the month, it's going to feel like a beginning. You didn't miss anything. You're here for that beginning. And then as you leave, it's going to be an end. And if you're here for the whole month, then it does this. And you get to find the rhythm and the flow together. And you'll find that each week is going to have its own magic, its own rhythm and experience. And you'll feel it throughout. And the really cool thing about that is that everyone who's called to come and join us is part of the co-creation of that experience. It's not just you and me and the facilitators. It's that everyone brings their wisdom, their magic, and we have this experience together.
Absolutely. One of the things I think is so special about doing something for the duration of a month, and particularly the month of February that is 28 days, has a very special significance, and we will be receiving both a full and a new moon during that period of time, which is really special. And I attract a lot of bleeding bodies. So whether they be women identifying otherwise, I attract a lot of bleeding bodies into my world. And so one thing I think is really beautiful is the way we meet the moment within ourselves and in our external circumstances that are reflecting back to us. So like each week, all of the participants are kind of in a different phase of their own moons and relating with this new land and with one another and with the lunar cycle that the place in the lunar cycle that we are. So it creates this really unique mosaic each week because of that, because we each bring, I bring a different energy in my luteal phase than I do in my follicular phase. So my classes will be different. And the way that the texture of my voice will be different and the way I move will be different. And so for those that stay the whole month and get to kind of feel that butterfly wing effect of the opening and the closing, we get to feel it within ourselves and potentially create a more intimate relationship with that within ourselves, and also really recognize how we meet one another at the different points that others are in as well. And that, I think, that also reflects in our relationship with the earth and the way that we meet that energy as well. That concept of like, I meet everyone in my life and myself differently each day. And how can I be more settled in that, knowing that it's going to be constantly ebbing and flowing and changing? How can I be kind of like riding the waves with less governance of fear in that, rather than trying to hold everything, trying to make everything the same every day and trying to hold it on. Like, that's part of what you're here for, is that there will be changing tides in each person's experience. They might have 2 weeks of just like, woo, and then a week of what is this? And then a week, and then a week of bliss. And I think that that's what I desire for this to be, a chance for you to feel whatever your life doesn't give you space to feel, so that you can go back and start to make more space for that in your life with some really actionable tools for it. I would love it if you would tell them about some of the additional one-on-one opportunities that they will have outside of just the support that you'll be there for a couple of minutes if they need it at any point. But if they're really wanting to go deeper, you have one-on-one offerings that they will have the opportunity to purchase a la carte. Would you like to tell us about some of what you'll be offering in that capacity?
Sure. Well, first of all, there's several of my clients. So I'm based in Toronto, Canada. And there's been several people I've worked with all over, like online, but also in person. And I know people have been asking for more in-person offerings. So we will be doing workshops in groups. Um, but soon the opportunity to work with me is either going to be just in full mentorship. But at the retreat, I will be offering single sessions, which can include energy alignment. I'm with my partner Maddie, who's downstairs, but he and I also do a joint session of working with energy, of the alignment and what might be coming through for someone. I do a lot of spiritual mentorship and supporting people. So through whatever might be coming up in the retreat, I can be there for that as well. I also do a private ceremony called the Reclamation, which is a really deep connection back into our bodies, the stories that are held in our bodies, allowing it to come through in meditation and sharing and in our own selves and with each other, and then actually allowing movement and sound to take that story and let it be transmuted through and out of the body. So there's a whole bunch of different little offerings I can do one-on-one while we're there. I encourage people to reach out in advance so we can book it in. And for those clients of mine where you've been asking me, I want to come to Costa Rica, know that those sessions are going to be less than half price of what you would actually pay if we were in person here. And I'm not actually going to be offering as much in person here in the coming months. So if you're wanting to get in some time, it's like, come, let's do it in Costa Rica. Come on down.
It'd be a really great place to do it. And we found you a really, really perfect spot that's very, very close by to our facility. For those who are curious about this, just a little bit of the structure of how this retreat even works, we can go over it for you gently, just so that you've got it in this video and you're not confused. Basically, what we're doing is something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, and I tend towards things like that because they give more spaciousness, more freedom, and more sovereignty. So what happens with this retreat is you choose to purchase either 1, 2, 3, or 4 weeks of classes, and along with the entire class schedule, you also receive travel logistics support, which means that we assist you in finding the lodging that meets your needs, in helping you find the right flights and transportation options that really fit your budget and help you to get down here in the most convenient or potentially just the cheapest way, whichever way it needs to be for you. Some people prefer as non-stop as possible, as few hours as possible, and they're willing to pay whatever it costs to do that. Other people would rather have longer layovers and pay the least amount possible and take a bus down here for $15. It really depends on the person. What is most important for you? Is it more luxury convenience, or is it more adventure, low cost, let's just see how it goes? And I think that giving people that spaciousness, it allows those who want to stay in a hostel or sleep in a hammock or sleep kind of bunk bed style with others. We have small hostels like that. And we've also got beachfront, as luxury as the jungle gets, which, like, it's still the jungle. Like, you're still in the jungle. But as luxury as the jungle gets, right on the beach with, breakfast included and full support and all of those kinds of things. So depending on what you need, we help you find something that's as close to the budget that you've got available as possible. And we help you plan so that your whole transit down here is as smooth and as easy as it can be. And it's a very free space for you to come to any classes that you're excited about, and to know that you're not expected to be at everything. You're not expected to let us know if you can or can't come to things. You come for what you feel called to be there for, and you're a part of the container all week long, regardless of whether you come to one class or every single class. We want this to be a space for you to explore the jungle, to experience this location, to be nourished by the food, to be nourished by the connection, and to feel what it's like to be sovereign within a collective where you can experience, like, this is what I need to do, and I totally respect what you need to do. No judgment of, like, if I want to go to the highest end restaurants every night, there's no judgment against that. And just like there's no judgment to eat food off of the street, like we've got street food all the time. There's tons of vendors that are cooking chicken on the side of the road. Whatever you need, it's yours, and we're not here to judge one another for what we choose to prioritize, what we need, and what we value. It's like, can we coexist? Can we move in that? And last year it was gorgeous for so many reasons, but one big one was everybody chooses what they need, and they say yes and they say no based on what's really a yes and no. So for those of you who had any curiosities, step 1 is to select how much time you're coming for and purchase your week. Step 2 is you start automatically getting, like, here's information, here's your questionnaire to tell us about what's important to you, and then you book a call and we customize the whole thing for you and help you with the process. And then you get down here and you have my amazing man there. He's outside, you see him in the
Yeah.
My amazing man here to help you plan any extra adventures you want to do. He's got all sorts of cool adventure items on the menu that you might want to do, as well as, like, where's the bank and how do I get to the grocery store? Like, he's here for all of it. He's here for all of it. So you have
the value of actually traveling somewhere and there's a local, and you're local now, you've been living there for a while, but I mean, all of those little things, and that made such a big difference. Anytime I've traveled, I found that I end up spending more than I want to, just because I don't know of the options. I don't know of the $15 bus. I don't know of that. And over my life, the priorities shift and change, but that's the really cool thing about this retreat, is that it's actually like a choose your own adventure. And even within the adventure you choose, there's choice. And some of us, there's an edge around that. It's a challenge because we're used to being told what to do, and we're used to being like, no, like, I want things all like this. This way you get to actually go, like, what do I want? And one of the huge experiences I've had with you and with Wild Essence around personal sovereignty, around actually feeling what we feel, expressing what is inside of us, all of those things, like, you're going to be leaning into that for the whole month. And it will be as simple as, like, what restaurant do I want to go to? But it'll also be within a class, like, what movement feels like it's actually expressing what's inside of me, or what song, or, in some of there's some really cool, like, tantra and BDSM sessions, all these different things that we're going to explore, that you'll have the opportunity to choose what's 100% feeling like a yes in your body, and the things that aren't, you get to hold with curiosity and also say no if it's not aligned. And I know it's going to be a transformational retreat, even personally for me, to be able to be there and hold that. I'm so excited.
Sure. And even around, like, choosing your yes and your no, Jaman, you want to say hi to everyone? Even around choosing your yes and your no, that might be, like you said, an edge. Hola. There's Jaman. He'll help you with all. So, like, that might be something that somebody comes and sees you for because they're not quite sure what they want to choose. Like, being presented with choice and recognizing that we have choice can be, like you said, confronting. And I think some people will choose this concept of an all-inclusive, like, everybody, it was pre-decided that I was going to eat this soup every day for the next week. And it's like, okay, I understand that concept of saying, like, I don't want to think about anything, but I also feel like if the whole thing gets to be a practice in your own empowerment and in your own compass, then that you're working that muscle in a really beautiful way, so that when you go back into your world, you're not saying yes to things you don't actually want to do. And if we don't practice that, it's a lot harder for us to really discern. And so, as you are going through this process of deciding how long you want to come for, this is part of it too. Like, from that first decision, it's like, I'm not going to tell you that you need to come for a month. I want you to choose how much time you feel like you desire and how much time you feel like it's going to be supportive for you. I think that in itself, just like when I do like scholarship challenges, people will reach out to me and be like, the scholarship challenge itself was so empowering for me because I was choosing to do something that mattered for myself and nobody was holding my hand and pulling me along. They might hold my hand, but I have to take the step. And I think that's the powerful piece in just the entire structure of this, is that you're choosing what is the best thing for you and you're learning to figure out what that is. And sometimes that means you choose and you go, oh, I would choose differently next time. But we have to have those experiences in order to really figure out where our compass is guiding us and learn how to read some of those inner kicks and nods and pushes. And that's something that you specialize in. So
Yes, yeah, and that's a big part. Like, even if you come for a one-on-one session with me and there's intuitive guidance, it's never me telling you the answers, it's you connecting in with your intuition. So if some of what we're talking about that Jesse and I are saying right now sounds overwhelming, that might be an even better reason to come and join us, because it'll basically be a month of you learning to feel and connect in and find what's true for you. And I gently guide people into that by simply asking the question, by noticing how it feels in the body. If you do a one-on-one session, we can do somatic or energy work, but a lot of it is actually getting you to tune into yourself, which means you'll have the most powerful integration of whatever's moving through. So I think it's the most powerful thing, and it really makes it possible for people to be able to come and explore in a way that will feel nourishing to them.
yeah. I think one thing, like as a closing note, that I think is important, and then I'd love to hear any other thoughts that you have. I think when you mentioned the word integration, I have experienced, and I don't know if you have, but I've experienced going on retreats early on in my journey where it kind of felt like I was picked up and held and then dropped at the end. And I think that is in part not because you're actually dropped, but because the container has ended and the whole time we weren't holding ourselves. And sometimes that's the thing that happens, is that because we didn't have to make any of our own decisions, because we were being told kind of what to think and do. And then it's like, now what do I do? I'm going back into my life. I don't know what to do. And I'm very big on actionable steps. I'm very big on like, if you feel that you've made each decision, whether you'd make the same decision again or not, if you feel that you've made each decision every step of the way, the integration is happening all along. So you're integrating each choice and you're integrating
Yeah.
each experience and you're able to process each thing as it happens. And you're able to go, okay, well, I would do that differently. Or, okay, that worked out really well. I'll take note of how that felt in my body. Even something as simple as being asked by other participants, would you like to join us at this restaurant? And you go, I would actually rather stay home and cook myself a meal. And choosing something like that for yourself and seeing what that feels like is integration within itself, because you carry that home with you as like, I did that. I decided. I rode my own bike to the grocery store and I got myself some groceries and I made myself a beautiful meal and I sat out on my deck and I ate it and I watched the monkeys, and that mattered, that I chose that. And I want those experiences for you guys. I don't want it to feel like we pick you up and then we drop you, like we're creating a container together. And yes, like there are facilitators who are sharing things that have been really powerful and nourishing for them, but it's all yours to take the way that you need to and at the pace that you're ready. And you're surrounded by support, and you can choose the support that meets you and choose the people that you want to spend your moments with.
That's right. And that's why so much of my work, and why you and I are partnering in this way together on holding and allowing me to come and hold, is because it's all about bringing you back home to yourself. But it's helpful to have one person that can be that person that does have you feel held. You're not totally alone. You're not totally like trying to figure it out. And I remember when I first started asking me or it was actually Maddie, when we first started dating, and he'd say, well, what do you need? And I'd come into his house. He'd say, well, what do you need? And I was like super activated by that question. I was like, what do you mean? What do I need? No one's asked me that before. And I didn't know what I needed. I disconnected from it. And it was a matter of, there were tears that would come and I'd have to like work through, what's this actually about? And it's because I disconnected from my needs. So even if you're a person where that's still there, like I'm there to help hold you in it. But as you step into the fullness of your power, and this retreat, without a doubt, especially looking at the schedule, how empowering it's going to be, I really believe that every person's going to walk away feeling more like who they truly are. So when you get back home into your regular life, it's not like, oh, I had that nice getaway and now I'm back here. It's like things have changed because you've changed. So you get to choose. So that same sovereign choice that you've been making on your own in a month away, which sometimes it's easier to do when we're somewhere else, then translates into the rest of your life. And that's how I've changed my life, has been through stuff like that.
Absolutely. And as a final note for those trying to decide how long they'd like to come for, part of the reason why I've made it a month is because a lot of things do take deeper root when we do them consistently for longer periods of time. 21 days is usually my, like, if I want to change something, I have to do it for at least 3 weeks. That's my personal, the way that I practice. Like if I know I need to take a different vitamin in the morning, I need to do it for 21 days before it becomes habit. So if there are things you're trying to implement, I've had people come on retreats and quit smoking. I've had people come on retreats and, decide that they're going to do better with taking their vitamins, or that they're going to do their yoga every morning if that's what they want to integrate into their lives. And everybody's different. But if there's something that you're trying to shift, having a period of time to do something consistently in a space where it's supported can be really empowering as well. So I've made it a month with that in mind, knowing that, like, the more days you spend doing this, the easier it's going to be to carry some of those patterns back home if you desire to do that. So giving you that. Of course, a week is going to be transformational. Of course, a week is going to be more than enough to impact you and write on you and bring magic into your world. But if you have the capacity, or if you choose to make the capacity to stay a little bit longer, the jungle has a lot of medicine that comes from syncing your own rhythms with her, is the way that I like to explain it. Like,
Mm.
if you land here for a little bit longer, you slow down, you speak a little slower, your own rhythms start to sync with hers, and she's a little slower. So there's this really sweet nervous system response that everybody who's ever stayed for more than a couple weeks has said this, like, wow, it was such a shock to go back to moving fast because I didn't realize how much I had slowed down. So if you have the capacity to stay a little longer, whether you stay a little longer and travel around on your own, or you stay a little longer and you're in all of the classes for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that's amazing. But if you're able to, I encourage you to stay a little longer so that the jungle can give you her piece of the puzzle, because there's a lot of that,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, beautiful. I'm looking forward to that myself personally.
The
So
very old
excited.
trees. Yeah, there's a lot here for sure.
So one thing I would say, especially to people who've been asking me about this, is I would highly encourage you, if you know you want to come, to book your week now. And the reason being is because Jaman and it will be helping with accommodation, and Jesse, like, you'll be able to, once you book your week, once you've paid for your week, which also helps to spread out payments for things, but pay for your week, and then they can start planning your travel, because the biggest thing is knowing to get the flights before they go up, and knowing to be able to get the accommodation, and especially if you're looking for a certain type of accommodation. I know we booked mine and Maddie's a little while ago, which I'm so grateful for, and I'm just like, wow, like, we have a really great spot that's right next to where all of the classes are going to take place, which means I'll be there, I'll be available, and it also has space for us to be able to provide sessions and support. So it's absolutely perfect.
Absolutely. I would say those of you who have um, a more limitless budget, you have a little bit more time to decide. Those of you who are trying to stay within a more strict budget, this needs to happen very soon, because the flight prices are going to increase for sure, especially as we get closer into the holidays and winter time and people start wanting to fly away from the snow. That starts to happen. It's now, mid-October. We've got November, December. When we get to January 1st, that whole month, like, after the 15th of January, I can no longer assist you in planning anything. So you have to be planned by 2 weeks prior, fully. So that we're in that kind of hot moment of, let's decide if we're doing this and start moving in that direction, because we've got November and December are the two solid months that are left. So we've got like a total of 3 months because you got 2 weeks in January and 2 weeks right now in October, but it's, 2.5 months maybe. So it's time now for you to make this choice and decide if this is going to be a thing that you're going to give yourself. And I made a video yesterday about prioritizing our wellness, especially with the way that the world is right now. Like, if we don't do it now, we'll end up having to do it later. So
Yes.
it's going to catch
Yeah.
up if we don't take good care of ourselves now. And for some people, that might mean this. And so if that is you, I'm really hoping and excited to welcome you into this space. And I'm excited to meet all of you who are connected through Audra and are deciding to come and meeting me for the first time. And I would love to welcome you to my home in the jungle that is waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yay. If you have questions, we'll check back. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share before we say goodbye to everyone?
Just the deepest gratitude. Just such thanks. I can't believe this is actually happening. We talked about this like 2 years ago, and here we are. So I can't wait to come. I can't wait to have, we're going to have to make sure someone videos that, like our first meeting, our first hug, and then all of the magic that's going to come. And the thing is, I'm actually going to start preparing, like energetically. There's certain things that I start doing before something like this, and it'll be coming soon. So I'm really excited to feel into the energy, because as soon as people sign up, it's already begun.
Yes.
Yeah, there's going to be, I think it's going to be a really unique, every week's going to have its rhythm, and it's going to be a really unique container to be a part of. So I feel the richness of it already, and I can't wait.
I can't either. I love you, Audra. I'm
I
grateful
love
for you.
you.
Thank you for choosing to support me in this and for bringing yourself down here to be in this place and to share with all of these people. They are all going to be so blessed to experience you. I love you. I love you. I love you. People in the Facebook land, I will see what you wrote in a minute. And I'm going to end the live on Facebook. And